Let's think about spiritual justice together. What is spiritual justice, and why is it essential for you to understand it? Spiritual justice is the most pure justice, is the perfect justice, because it originates from the essence of justice, who is God, the righteous judge, whose throne is founded upon justice. God's justice is the only perfect justice. When we speak about justice in this world, the human justice, justice from courts of this world, we talk about the gimmick of true justice. It's just a gimmick. The human justice is an abortion of the true justice. This is the truth. From the moment the humans moved away from God, they moved away from true justice. And I say that the human justice is just a gimmick, an abortion of true justice. You just need to look at the results that comes out of courts and sentences from courts, what many solicitors, many lawyers do. Just a simple example. You live years with a person, you got married with a person, you lived with them for 20 years, or I don't know how many years, you dedicated your life to that person, and suddenly that person betrays you. They start to get involved with someone else. After many attempts, you realize that you will have to divorce. And that person does not want to come out of this marriage without taking everything until the last penny. So what do? You go to the family court. You file for divorce, and after an extensive journey of back and forth, you receive a sentence that you need to give a certain amount of your assets to the one who betrayed you. You need to give an amount of your assets, you need to share the custody of the children. The children must spend time with one and then some other time with the other. And justice, in an unfair way, will try to minimize the damage that this great injustice has caused in the lives of all those involved. Is a gimmick of true justice. Whether you like it or not, is the best you will reach in this world. But the perfect justice, the divine justice, the spiritual justice, what does it determine? It determines that the two should be one flesh and live until the end of life. To sacrifice their lives for each other, the wife to give her life for the husband, to respect her husband. She helps her husband. The divine justice determines what will really do good for both parties, husband, wife, and children. But the human justice is what it is. But when we deal with divine justice, we are dealing with the perfect justice, the justice that comes from God. And for you to have access to it, what do you need it? Just as in human justice, to have access to it, you need to know your rights. You need a lawyer, solicitor, who will represent you, who will defend your case, and you need to follow the process of the courts. In the divine justice, thank God, you don't need to pay for it. You don't need to pay money, because in the human justice has this matter too. Those who have more money pay the better lawyer, and the best lawyer has contact with the judge, is a friend with the judge. But the divine justice, the spiritual justice, what gives us access to it is called faith. The currency is faith. The lawyer is the Lord Jesus. He is the one who represents us, our perfect lawyer. So through faith, we achieve the rights of spiritual justice. So pay attention. Follow my reasoning. We have God on his throne of perfect justice, justice perfection. God who aims to do the best for his children because he is a perfect father. And on the other side, we have children who have abandoned the father, children who have committed injustices, children who are living in a world of injustices and suffering with others' injustices. What is the resource that the Father, the perfect judge, will give to the children who believes in him? He gives the resource of faith for you to present yourself before God's throne using your faith and seeking the perfect justice. He does that. He gives us this access. That's why you see in the scriptures many who through the human justice standards deserved nothing from God. For example, Jesus blessed Zacchaeus, the chief thief. Zacchaeus enforced a tax scam, a scam of taxes. Maybe there's some similarities with white-collar theft, but Zacchaeus enforced a scam, something organized, something that he would take advantage of people. He heard of Jesus once, he climbed a tree, he called Jesus' attention, and Jesus said, "I will dine with you in your house." And then Zacchaeus manifested his faith, seeing himself as a perfect sinner. Zacchaeus stood up during dinner and said to the Lord Jesus, "I decide not to steal anyone else, and all that I have stolen I'll restore 4 times over." In other words, I don't want this life anymore. I no longer want to be this person. You see that Jesus didn't ask any of that, but inside of him there was a sincerity. Yes, a sincerity in the heart of a thief, the chief thief. A desire was born to be different and to do differently. And before justice, before the person who represented the perfect justice was Jesus, he had the courage, publicly, because it was not only Jesus there, there were acquaintances of his, family members, servants, and Jesus' servants too. So he publicly decided to change his life. Then Jesus did for him what the divine justice does. He forgave him, gave him a chance to restart, saved his soul, and gave him peace. He started as a thief, and he ended the dinner saved, forgiven, transformed. This is the spiritual justice. How did he reach so quickly the spiritual justice? He promptly used his faith. He was not thinking about it. I need to change. I know I have to change. I need to stop with these things. I know I'm doing what is wrong, but I'll make some more money. I'll wait a little bit longer. I'll gather some more money and then stop. He didn't think like that. He made a quick decision. He used his faith, and the Lord Jesus honored his faith. And likewise, it was with the thief on the cross, another thief. Likewise, it was with the adulteresses who was forgiven. She had committed adultery. She had the opportunity to start over. The same was with the prostitute who came to wash the feet of the Lord Jesus, and with so many others who were unrighteous people. Before the eyes of people, they deserved nothing, but because they manifested faith in him, they received the spiritual justice, because the spiritual justice looks to the faith. So the pure, sincere faith that the person manifests can erase their past. They can have killed, done heinous acts in the past, but when they give their lives to God, God cleanses this past. He cleanses it. He purifies it. He makes the prostitute a holy woman, the thief a man of God, a killer an apostle. Is what God does through the manifested faith. Is what the Lord Jesus taught. Once the religious wanted to set a trap for him, to incriminate him through his words. They asked about the taxes topic. They asked, is it fair to pay taxes to Caesar, to the Roman emperor? If the Lord Jesus said it was fair, he would have been accused of siding with the Romans and betraying the Jewish people. If he said it wasn't fair, the taxes were unfair, he would have problems with the Roman authorities. Then Jesus, in his wisdom, said, "Get me a coin." Whose face is in the coin? Caesar's. Then give to Caesar what is Caesar's. The coin has Caesar's face. So give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. You can see that he said so many truths in few words. When you give to God what is God's, you are being fair towards God. When you give your faith, a perfect, sincere faith to God, you are giving to God what belongs to Him, because He's the only one who deserves your perfect faith. So when we surrender our faith to God, when we give our lives to God, we give to God what is God's, then we receive the perfect justice of Him. Think, you want God's justice, but have you been fair with God? Have you been giving to God what is God's? Have you been given to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's? Because if you want what is yours, I want what is mine by right. I want what is mine, my husband, my child, my money, my rights. You want what is yours. But have you been giving others what is theirs? Have you been giving to Caesar what is Caesar's? And have you been giving to God what is God's? Because the spiritual justice is perfect. It does not go towards one side. So be careful that when you ask for spiritual justice, it might be that it may come against you. If today's video helped you and you know someone that could benefit from it, share it with them, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you may do so now. See you later.